I told you I was clever now, that to split would be a crime, that our love would last forever now. Well, I meant it at the time. I told you that the sea was blue and that the earth was green, and that the love I felt for you was too clear to be seen. I told you that I wanted you beyond reason or rhyme, beyond the universe's grip. Well, I meant it at the time. And all the lies I've ever said to women have been true. I've said them many, many times, a lot of times, to you. And just because the things I said have been besmirched by grime, ironic, yes, in retrospect, well, I meant them at the time. This one's a sort of, it's a sort of, I suppose, religious country and western song, but in a poem form. So, yeah, if you can imagine that. As I rode into Zion town, the sky was supernova. The angel of apocalypse had not quite yet passed over. The sun was red and raw, just like a nappy rash from hell. The scourgings and the gaping sores were reeking off a smell. I climbed down from my horse and wandered barwards like a skunk, where zealots, whores and Sadducees were getting nasty drunk. I flipped my holster open and just for a change of pace, a guy in flagrant kiss curl shoved a bottle in my face. You want a piece of action, punk? You want your story told? He told me he would sell me out for 30 bits of gold. They won't pay you in gold, my friend, because silver's all they've got. And everything they're paying you's both dangerous and hot. The priesthood in this city's got the whole caboose tied down, the temple master's hands in every pocket in this town. They want to lynch a prophet who's been spreading this sedition. Seek, locate, destroy, my brother, that's your final mission. I pulled my gun from out its holster, shoved it in his cheek. Your brain, I said, is in an urgent journey to next week. I came here seeking new life and a chance of fresh perfection. I won't cancel my subscription to the resurrection. The rabbi wandered out with an apology in his mouth. I left the bar and headed to the place of skulls due south. The show was just beginning and the sky was aching hot. 3 guys were outstretching, showing all they've got. The middle guy was screaming, blamed his father for neglect. I had this crazy notion that was suddenly shipwrecked. This wasn't what I wanted, I hadn't seen enough, but I knew I wanted out of this kind of heavy stuff. The answers weren't important and the death trip seemed a loss, so I strapped my pistol on me and I got back on my horse. There's too many simple answers in this never-ending game, but only 2 are true and not a single pair's the same. The sky began to darken over, thanks to an eclipse. I'd given up my chances and I'm pissed on all my chips. I faced the future with a snarl, a bullet and a drink. As long as I got out of there, I didn't need to think. I didn't need no answers, just more questions to apply, like who, what, where and wherefore, and a side order of why. So I rode into the sunset like a gunman with no shame, and no one knew the date or time, but the wind, it knew my name. Normally he played women like he played chess, and she was special. His opening moves were good, he wanted her rook, and he crossed the board like a grand master. His red king was rising when he moved on her castles, and he wanted her to give him the knight. She defended skillfully, protecting her queen. He checked in, she checked out, he failed to mate. Later on, resigned and alone, he got out some pawn and banged the bishop. This one's one of those ones that seems to have a gender divide in it. It's called If I Love You. You ask me if I love you, but the words I say you will not understand, nor are they what you want to hear. So, as a compromise, I say yes. This one's one I was at a gig in Lucy English, a really good poet, had this. I think she misspoke and she described waiting for a bus stop, meaning waiting for a bus, waiting at a bus stop, and she said waiting for a bus stop, and I thought it was such a nice concept that I wrote a poem about it, so this one's really for Lucy English. I met a man with grizzled case and asked him why he waited there. Around him stretched the desert, bare and lifeless as a statue's face. He said, "If you wait long enough, eventually there will arise a culture of amazing size, so big, intelligent and tough that it will build a bus stop here. Maybe 100 years or more, 1,000 million, can't be sure, but one will come. I have no fear. And if I wait that time," he said, "this desert, roadless, folkless, hatless, forgotten by almost every atlas, will recover from the dead." I sat with him, repressed my sneer. I waited for a day, a week, as empires rose, then passed their peak, then crumbled like a droughted year. The desert died, the future bleak. The bus stop never did appear. Okay, I'm going to do a soppy one now. My daughter's just turned 16, and this is a poem called 24th of June 2005. Birth is not a miracle, only you. Birth is 20 hours of nailing pain, large metal salad tongs and lots of blood. Then you emerge, a new world with a thud, and lives collide, emergent, drastic, new, and nothing now will be the same again. In the resuscitaire, you lie unwrapped, your tiny starfish hands, your toes untrod, and I lean in to sniff your ginger head, a question mark that smells like new baked bread. That's not a smile or cry, but still I'm trapped, and in your face I glimpse the face of God. Call me your whore, your puppet, your prince, call me Colossus, Roddy or Vince. It doesn't matter much anyway since you left me. We kissed the first time on the first time we met, and you told me you'd done it because of a bet which you'd lost, and you say you were glad you had, yet you left me. You always were cynical while I was wry with a laugh in your pocket, a wink in your eye, and I called to the heavens and I just don't know why you left me. Your every smile took me out of a rut, and your kisses that opened when your eyes were shut were like petals in wine to me every time, but you left me. You said you read faces as you screamed out my name, and your feelings for me were much more than a game, and that you had always loved me, but still, just the same, you left me. But I'm over you now, and I'm happy alone. I no longer shiver, I no longer moan, and I no longer wince when I hear the ringtone you left me. And I hate you, you slapper, you harpy, you whore, and when I think of you, my whole body feels sore. And I want you now more than ever before you left me. I was looking through this one. I can't remember when I wrote this one, but it's another Bible one, Bible story, but it seems sort of strangely relevant, so I'm going to read it anyway. It's called Home. Not a good place, but it was our home, and home is where the heart is, more or less. And when they told us in their voice of chrome that we should have to leave, it was a mess. For rules of hospitality were broken, and strangers were abused, humiliated. Their anger, unrelenting, was awoken. The steely voices ordered, unabated. And we were forced out then to emigrate, to leave behind the place that we had made. The iron in their voices turned to hate, and mercy missed its mark, whatever we prayed. We packed our things, I and my wife and daughters. Throughout we heard the metal voices, clinical, instructing us to get beyond the waters to places of safety. A man could get cynical. And then we heard the fire and brimstone rain on homes and friends, a terminal assault. I reached out for my wife's hand in my pain, but she, so like my tears, was only salt. yeah, this one's inspired by Shakespeare, by any other name a rose. They say by any other name a rose would smell as sweet. And so I bought my one true love a bunch of bright red cunts. There was an arse for every day since I had first proposed. She put a minge between her teeth and in her hair a pith flap. And every street we walked was strewn with bright majestic smegmas. The lovely diarrhea scent perfumed the city air. Like lovers in Tintagel, our room was filled with turds. I kissed her hair and did breathe in the scent of acrid armpit. She fell asleep upon my arm, she was my English faeces. The colour of her lips was like a scarlet felch in May. I laid a single jam rag upon her sleeping pillow, and as she breathed asleep, her cheeks were like a red, red fart. When we awoke, our eyes spoke love, as in a looking glass. I gently turned her over, and I shagged her up the rose. This one's one that actually got published in the Spectator magazine almost 25 years ago now. Not a magazine I normally have much to do with, but they published my magazine and they paid me 30 quid. So anyway, this is about, it's called Gingerbread. The gingerbread we had is old and rotten. The things we said last night aren't worth repeating. And all the things we did are best forgotten. They're merely ways of nighttime central heating. Let's just say it never really was, that we were drunk, we both moved in too fast, and walk away and say goodbye, because we both agreed it probably won't last. Let's just say last night was a mistake, an error, based on too much booze and need. Let's just say it, now that we're awake. Another notch of misimplanted seed. I'll leave you there with just the smell of me and finish off this single cup of tea. I'm going to do two poems now. About 5 years ago, a friend of mine and I tried to do this book of things about creepy crawlies and bugs. And she was doing the pictures, and I can't do pictures, and I was going to do the words. And the aim for each of these poems, and I think I wrote about 20 poems all in all, was that that each poem was going to be scientifically accurate. That's one of the topics of the task I set myself. And the other thing about it was that each of them was going to be in a different form. So this one's about trilobites. I don't know if you know about trilobites, the ancient sort of pre-insect from about sort of pre-dinosaur times, and they're not around anymore. So it's called Don't Try to Find a Trilobite. There's mystery in a trilobite. They're creatures that are gone, and all that can remain of them is exoskeleton. They throve throughout the Cambrian and through the Ordovician, but now it would be hard to fill a trilobite's position. They're gone since the Devonian, it's like the world has blinked, and there's no point in looking, for the trilobite's extinct. A trilobite! A trilobite! Don't try to find a trilobite, they're older than your memory, yes, even every kilobyte. Their calcite eyes are a surprise, both complex and compound, but if you try to find one, no survivor can be found. There's history in a trilobite, those long-lost arthropods. The rocks that they were fossilised in were Paleozoic clods. Siberian in origin, though then it was Pannotian, they flocked and spread like jam on bread across the whole wide ocean. And once the world's great master race, it really isn't fair. For now, if you were looking, a trilobite's not there. A trilobite! A trilobite! Don't try to find a trilobite, not even if you argue, shout, or threaten with a pillar fight. When searching high and low, and I'll inform you of this gratis, the best that you will find will be a chitin protein lattice. A trilobite! A trilobite! Don't try to find a trilobite. They've left this mortal realm, the flame of hope won't be kept still alight. They've gone, they've shuffled off, oh my God, they've passed the brink. I don't know why you're searching still, a trilobite's extinct. And this is a Clerihew based on the Death's Head moth. and as you can imagine, it's called Death's Head Moth Clary Hue. The Death's Head Moth is really quite goth, and it was thought especially holy by Aleister Crowley. And I'm gonna finish with one that I hope I can actually remember. Most men have experienced this moment when the one true love of their life tells them the wonderful, wonderful news that they met somebody else. You know, you've got to be really supportive. So this is a poem called "On Hearing She's Got Someone Else." Oh well, I know all things must change. Some are bad and some are good. I can't describe or trace the range of things I would change if I could. I'd do a few things different, sure. I'm not sure what, or even why. But maybe try to keep you more. Or maybe try to try. I know I'm really calmer than the ones who say they care and chatter. I hear you've got another man. That's interesting. Doesn't matter. Oh, bollocks. Shit. Fuck. Cunt and fuck and bloody bugger. Bollocks, bum, shit, cunt, fuck, bugger. Fuck, fuck, fuck. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm really calm. Me? No, really. I'm not sad. I wish you all the luck I can. It's really good. It's great. I'm glad. He's such a very lucky man.